We've got some other breaking news to get to this morning, though. Those deadly Southern California wildfires. Right now, officials in Los Angeles, including the city's embattled mayor, are briefing the public as we speak. A lot of developments here to tell you about as these fires are ripping across L.A. County. Overnight, we learned that the number of people killed in these fires has now doubled. 10 people dead. You're looking at 9,000 homes, buildings that have been destroyed. Tens of thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes. You've seen these mandatory evacuation orders in place for the better part of nearly 5 days now, with more mandatory evacuations popping up even in just the last 24 hours. Remember, parts of coastal California, we're talking about the most expensive real estate in the world in some spots, burnt beyond recognition. But in other areas like Altadena, these are regular folks who have been living their lives, who now have nothing to return home to. You are seeing the location of these fires here. The Kenneth fire, 35% contained. But remember, the biggest one, the Palisades, the Eaton fires, those are mostly out of control. 8% containment on the Palisades fire. I want to go in and listen now to that news conference featuring L.A. County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney. Let's listen in.
So good morning. The Eaton fire, current estimated acreage, 13,956 acres with 3% containment. We still have 4,000 to 5,000 structures that may be damaged or destroyed. Once we do our damage inspection reports, we'll get a more accurate number for you. We currently have 1,527 firefighting personnel remaining assigned to this incident. The LA County Fire Department is in unified command with the U.S. Forest Service, the LA County Sheriffs, along with the Pasadena, Arcadia, Sierra Madre Fire Departments, and the Pasadena Police Department. Yesterday afternoon, the fire in the Eaton Canyon did make a push towards historic Mount Wilson. This observatory is okay thanks to the efforts of the firefighters and observatory staff, and no buildings have been destroyed at Mount Wilson. A firefighter did suffer a significant fall injury yesterday at the Eaton fire. He remains hospitalized. He's resting comfortably, and he's in stable condition and expected to make a full recovery. The cause of the fire remains unknown, and we will advise the media once we get the cause determined. We are appreciative to our many mutual aid partners from out of state for providing assistance to Los Angeles County in our time of need. Thanks to the increased number of resources assigned, the region is in a much better posture than we were earlier this week. And I have been advised that mutual aid resources from Canada are arriving now. The National Weather Service predicts that the red flag will continue through Friday, or continue today through 6 p.m. However, our priority is also going to be to prepare for the next red flag event that is predicted to begin on Monday. I would also like to provide a brief update on the Kenneth fire that erupted yesterday near the Victory Trailhead at the border of Ventura and Los Angeles counties. Thanks to the quick action of first responders and aerial assets, the fire has been stopped. It's currently at 1,000 acres. We have 35% containment, and no structures are reported damaged or destroyed. One important topic I want to talk about is that we did have a drone incursion yesterday at the Palisades fire. Unknown exactly what time this small drone hit the wing of our CL-415 Super Scooper aircraft that we currently have on contract from the province of Quebec. The pilots were unaware that they hit the drone. It wasn't until they landed at Van Nuys Airport that the maintenance staff noticed that there was a fist-sized hole in the leading edge of the wing inboard of the landing light. That Super Scooper will be prioritized for repair 24/7. It should be flying Monday. We only have 2 of them. Everyone should know, all of your viewers, flying a drone in the fire traffic area is not only dangerous, but it's illegal. We do have our federal partners behind the scenes are going to be implementing procedures to be able to follow drones in our 2 large fire areas, and they will be able to identify who the operator of that drone is. The most important thing to know is that if you fly a drone at one of these brush fires, all aerial operations will be shut down. and we certainly don't want to have that happen. Before I close, I would like to thank Supervisor Barger and Horvath for their unwavering support and leadership. I would also like to acknowledge the tireless efforts of first responders who continue to place themselves in harm's way to protect our residents and property. Thank you. I would now like to bring up Fire Chief Kristen Crowley of the Los Angeles City Fire Department.
Thank you, Chief Maroney. So I'll just be providing a brief update of the overnight operations of our fires. So Palisades fires. This fire was currently tracked at 20,438 acres with 3,073 personnel assigned. Crews worked very hard overnight, strengthening our containment lines and addressing multiple spot fires in and around the Topanga Canyon area. Resources responded to the area included our air assets to aid in the containment efforts. Due to the favorable overnight weather conditions and the diligent, and I'll focus on the diligent work and effort and commitment of our first responders, we can report that the Palisades fire is now 8% contained. Wind gusts are expected to increase in daylight hours that will test our containment lines. Our firefighters will continue to respond to any flare-ups and increase our containment lines. Evacuation orders remain in place. The Hearst fire, due to more accurate mapping and acreage, has been updated to 771 acres with 37% containment. All evacuation orders and warnings have been lifted. The Kenneth fire, forward progress has been stopped with 35% containment at 1,000 acres. All evacuation orders and warnings within the Los Angeles City have been lifted. I personally want to make sure that we thank and show our deepest gratitude to all of our Los Angeles City firefighters and all of our partners as we've been battling these fires for now. We're going into day 4. Thank you to LAPD for assisting us in keeping our communities safe. And lastly, thank you to all of the agencies who have come to aid during this time of help, and it absolutely does not go unnoticed. Thank you.
Now, Sheriff Robert Luna. Thank you, Sheriff.
Good morning to everybody. This morning we have well over 500 LA County deputies that are assisting continuous with evacuations, traffic control, security patrols, and other humanitarian efforts. They're out there. I hear people calling me. They see a lot of black and white police cars rolling with lights and siren. They're out there working. That's what they're doing. They've been actively patrolling evacuated areas and are increasing their presence to deter any burglary or looting activity that may occur. Just to summarize on evacuations for all the fires that we're dealing with, evacuations orders stand at approximately 153,000 residents that are under evacuation orders and approximately 57,830 structures at risk. And then evacuation warnings, approximately 166,800 residents under both warnings, or I'm sorry, those are just specifically for warnings. What I want to go to next, and we started talking about this last night, is a curfew. A curfew order has been established for the Palisades and Eaton fire areas in all mandatory evacuation zones. That will be in effect. It was in effect last night, and it's going to be in effect tonight at 6 p.m. So it ended at 6 a.m. this morning, will take effect again until 6 p.m. I'm emphasizing that to our media partners because part of this is communicating to the public. You cannot be in these affected areas. If you are subject to arrest. That is important. We're not doing this to inconvenience anybody. We're doing it to protect the structures, the houses that people have left because we ordered them to leave, and I want them to feel confident that we are doing everything we can to secure that. This curfew will be strictly enforced and is being taken to enhance public safety, protect property, and prevent any burglaries or looting in the area that the residents have evacuated. The only people that will be allowed in these areas are disaster workers, okay? I just want to make that clear because we have other people trying to get in there. And by the way, media partners who have legitimate media credentials, yes, you may enter those areas unless it's very, very unsafe and somebody tells you not to for that reason. Again, just specifically, anyone found in violation of this curfew will be subject to arrest for a misdemeanor offense under LA County Code Section 2.68320, and conviction may result in a fine up to $1,000 or jail time. And I'm telling you right now, I know people talk about no bail, and I've given direction that if somebody's caught doing this, they are not going to get cited and released. They're going to get booked. We are not screwing around with this. We don't want anyone taking advantage of our residents that have already been victimized. The National Guard deployment. As many of you are aware, we asked for the National Guard. I'm very thankful to Governor Newsom and the State Office of Emergency Services that fulfilled that request. As of last night, we've had National Guardsmen assisting us. They arrived last night and deployed to the Eaton Fire area, and we're assisting with road closures and critical infrastructure protection. As additional Guard personnel arrive, and they will be in the next 12 to 24 hours, the Sheriff's Department will strategically coordinate their deployment with other partners such as the Los Angeles Police Department, Pasadena Police Department, Santa Monica Police Department, Azusa, and Arcadia. Those are the requests we have now. That may grow. We'll adjust as time goes on. I want to make sure that if anybody needs updated information on either evacuation orders or warnings or road closures, they go to lacounty.gov/emergency. And with that, I am going to be introducing Assistant Chief Dominic Choi from the Los Angeles Police Department.
You have been listening to that update now from Los Angeles County and city officials on those devastating fires that have ripped through parts of the city, decimating thousands of homes, forcing tens of thousands to evacuate. Fires that have now turned deadly. We understand that 10 people have been killed. You heard about those red flag warnings set to expire tonight, but here's what people are bracing for as we bring in Steve Patterson, who's in the Palisades, which has been hardest hit, one of the hardest hit. Steve, the potential for more of these Santa Ana winds coming up next week. People are only just beginning to be able to see the scope and the scale of the devastation in places like where you are, and now bracing for round two. It's unimaginable.
You know, firefighters don't even have time to think about round two. They have this critical fire window that we're about to enter where, yes, you said it, these red flag winds set to expire later on today and then extending through this weekend. So firefighters often work in these windows to try to pare down the flames and add containment. Finally, we have containment on both of these large fires, 8% and 3%. That is a great sign. It's an egress into knocking out some of these hot spots and some of the pockets of embers that we've seen burning that create more fires. More problems for people that are trying to knock this out. So these critical next few hours, 36, 48, 72 hours are going to be crucial to the overall firefighting effort as they sort of work to get a foothold on this in these areas, especially that are burned out. The second headline deals with security. Unfortunately, the sheriff talking about increased instances of burglaries, of looting, and they're trying to add more security teams to the ground. We've seen that coming up into an area like this. National Guard station really at every entrance and exit point that we were able to see. Those units on the ground assisting with 500 more LA County deputies and LAPD. They're all over this place trying to make sure people are out. There have been arrests. We've heard at least 20 arrests in these areas. As you know, obviously firefighters are working on trying to do the best that they can and then dealing with the extra threat of security, of burglaries, of people in these zones, ruining the effort on the ground and ruining, you know, people's lives. They're already burned to the ground. I think a lot of people are sort of heartened to hear that from the sheriff as well. But, you know, the firefighting is still in its primary operation. We are not toward the investigation phase of this, but hearing more, obviously, about the death count rising overnight. 10 dead now confirmed from the city officials, from the sheriffs as well, working to sort of work through these scenes, as this fire continues, Hallie.
And Steve, notable to hear the Los Angeles sheriff say, we are not messing around. saying we do not want these people who have already been victimized, who have already been traumatized now, to be dealing with these security issues like you're talking about, this looting, et cetera. And he was very clear there will be no leniency for anybody who is caught taking on that kind of conduct.
Yeah, and that includes a curfew now added. We heard about it implemented last night, 6 p.m. It expired at 6 a.m. That was just a few hours ago here on the West Coast, Hallie. And anybody caught in those zones, those mandatory fire evacuation zones during that time, unless you have a press pass, unless you have a reason to be there, unless you're escorted by what I would assume would be a police unit, you are not allowed to be there. They will arrest you and they will prosecute you, according to both the sheriff and the DA here. So, yes, they are very serious about it. And we've seen a much more aggressive posturing over the last today than over the last few days, Hallie.
Steve Patterson, thank you very much. Live for us there in the Palisades. That is one of the fires that has been of such concern in Los Angeles. Ellison Barber is joining me now from the other, the one in Altadena, California, the Eaton fire, near where that has devastated people. Ellison, talk to me about what you're seeing today and the expectation in the days to come.
Yeah, Hallie, I mean, you and Steve were just talking a lot about the concerns for looting and the deployment of the National Guard. We're seeing a lot of that in this area. But for starters, this whole area is blocked off. We've seen just in the last few minutes a number of fire trucks driving through here, switching out seemingly with crews that have been working overnight and this morning. This is an area that for the most part is completely shut down. People coming here trying to get back to their homes to just see what is left. Or some people, one woman we spoke to, she said, we can see on the Ring camera my home is okay. I'm just trying to get back there to get a change of clothes because I haven't had a change of clothes since Wednesday when we left. We thought we'd only be there gone for a day, and now we're just trying to get home to at least get some stuff to change out what we have. But look over here and you'll see some of the National Guard presence that Steve was talking about. You heard in that press conference that about 600 additional National Guard members from California National Guard have been deployed. More are going to be coming in the next 10 to 12 hours. Some of them already came overnight. And this is some of the groups. This right here, this is an MRAP. Typically, you would see this sort of thing in a war zone. Instead, they are here helping to alleviate some of the stress on local law enforcement who have been blocking roads to try and help, essentially, according to Californian officials, as well as the governor of California, to help try and deal with protecting structures and people's belongings after they had evacuated. As Steve mentioned, according to L.A. officials, about 20 people, at least 20 people, they say, have been arrested because of looting. But, one of the other things that is interesting, just talking with people as we see all of this stuff here, it is something that is obviously noticeable. Residents are noticing it. I've spoken to a couple different people passing through here this morning, and one man, as he drove by, he rolled down the window, and I asked him how his home was, and he said he lived up at the top of the mountain in Altoona, and he said everything they own is gone. I asked him about this presence and the push for more help in terms of concerns for looting, and he looked at me and he said, I mean, I guess it's good, but there's nothing left. He said where he lived in his neighborhood, there is literally nothing left to loot. So for a lot of people, there are some immediate concerns, obviously, about what they left behind. But there is also a lot of people that are just so devastated and so struck by how much is gone that they say it's good to be here. But they're like, there's just nothing left. Hallie. And
then the question is, how do you even begin to rebuild, especially with questions over folks? Do they have the right insurance? Were they able to get fire insurance in the first place? How do they begin to think about picking up the pieces, which is a process that is going to take not days, not weeks, but months and years, Ellison?
Yeah, I mean, and it's staggering because everywhere you go, and I haven't even been here a full 24 hours yet, right? I come in newer than Steve and our LA team who's been here working so hard for so many days. But the second I got off of a plane last night at LAX, Hallie, there was a couple with two young children, both under the age of 4. The dad was holding a toddler in his arms, the mom kind of holding the other, and they're trying to load a bunch of bags, car seats, all the things you have when you travel. And we helped them move their stuff in, and the dad stopped and looked at me and said, thank you. We just found out we lost our entire home. Every step you take in LA County in this area, someone has been impacted or knows someone who has lost everything or close to everything. And they're just processing that loss and trying to get to where we go from here next. Hallie.
The most destructive fire in LA County history. Ellison Barber, thank you so much. As Ellison points out, affecting so many people across Southern California. We will, of course, have continuing coverage of these fires and of the other day's big headlines already coming up later today on Nightly News. That concludes this NBC News special report. We'll return you to morning news now after this quick break.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.